So this video is basically gonna be like me talking about just a few topics here and there that have been kind of talked about for the past 2-3 days, and I haven't really done a video talking about like just all of them. There wasn't enough information to really talk about all of this news all at once. Like there really wasn't enough to go on for all of it. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do like one big video talking about all the comic news that is coming out. So let's get started. So first and foremost, we have Hellboy becomes a giant robot. No, I'm not making that up. Hellboy is becoming a giant robot. Why? Because Mike Mignola made, during the pandemic, Mignola made a few sketches of Hellboy as a giant robot and had that version of Hellboy fighting various kaiju, like Mecha Kong. Well, that one was Art Adams, excuse me. But Mecha Kong and Gigan and Gearus, and I think there was one of Godzilla. And then he just decided, you know what, it'd be really cool to do a full-on comic of this. Now, it will not feature Godzilla kaiju. Instead, it will have original kaiju in the book. But hey, maybe we could get a Hellboy Godzilla crossover from Dark Horse and IDW. Now you have your way to do it. Like, now you definitely have a way to do a full-on crossover between Godzilla and Hellboy. Just have him as a giant robot, and just have giant. And I really like that it's like, it looks very steampunk. It looks very like Big Guy. I'm getting a lot of Big Guy and Rusty the Robot vibes from it. I especially like that we're also going to have Art Adams help in interior art. Art Adams is one of my favorite artists in comics, period. Art Adams, or Arthur Adams, is best known for doing monster art. He is really good at it. Some of his best work is like Incredible Hulk. He also did a Creature from the Black Lagoon comic. He also did Godzilla comics for Dark Horse years back, like decades back, like back in the 90s, back in the 90s. So yeah, he knows how to draw giant monsters, trust me. But I think this is really cool. It's utterly ridiculous. It is completely utter buffoonery that is going on here. But now, if you're wondering, why is Hellboy becoming a giant robot? Apparently, the comic is that Hellboy is transferring his consciousness into a giant robot version of himself that was built to be piloted mentally to fight off a horde of giant monsters that are appearing across the world. Yeah. I really like this. I really am excited for this. They've been like Mike Mignola and the rest of the Hellboy crew have been doing some really just fun out there stuff for ages now, and it's becoming a lot more fun every time. If just a word of the wise, if you're to those who are not like die-hard Mignola verse fans, if Mignola sketches something, just know that in like a year or two, it's probably going to be in a comic or get its own comic. Just a word to the wise. That's how it was with another a 2-issue comic called Radio Spaceman, which was a design he just sketched and was like, fuck it, I'll just make it my own comic. That's how it goes. That's really how it goes by the end of it. So, as for other news, we have some X-Men news that caught my attention. During the event of Fall of X, we are getting a new Dark X-Men group, and this team isn't going to be led by Magneto or Sinister or something like that. Instead, this team is going to be controlled by Doctor Doom. That's right, Doctor Doom is making his own X-Men team to battle the X-Men. Apparently, Doctor Doom has been hoarding the Latvian mutants and is now ready to unleash them as his version of the X-Men. I think that's really cool, and it actually answers a question of, so mutants show up all over the world. Like, the mutant gene shows up randomly all over the world. How come we haven't really gotten any... I don't think we've gotten any story of Doctor Doom, of mutants showing up in Latveria. Like, what would Doom do to for if there were mutants in his country? Because obviously you can't hide that shit, especially from Doom. So it's going to answer that question of what are the Latvian mutants and where have they been and what are they going to be used for? Nothing good. That's what I can tell you. It's gonna be nothing good to come of this. It looks like a lot of original mutants. It doesn't look like we have any, like, major mutants that are going to be joining. Though I do imagine, knowing Doctor Doom, he'll probably have someone on this team. He will probably have a member of... he will probably have, like, a known mutant villain leading the team. Like, I guarantee you that will be, like, the final page reveal, is that he's just going to, like... reveal, like, Dawkins, who's with the X-Men, but who knows, maybe Doom will convince him to join him, or, like, some well-known mutant X-Men villain to join up with him and be the leader of this X-Men crew. Whether that be... Or it could be, like, Nate Gray, some other surprising character, like Nate Gray, or, well, Mystique actually makes a lot of sense, too. But that's... But I'm getting off topic. I'm sorry, I'm getting completely off topic. Off topic. But yeah, so Doctor Doom's X-Men. The Fall of X event looks like it's getting bigger and bigger, and I'm very much curious to see how this is all going to play out by the end of it. We've got, like, more stuff involving Nightcrawler and his mother. I'm really hoping... God, they're doing, like, a new X-Men called X-Men Blue, I believe. And basically what they're talking about is, like, a new era for Nightcrawler and the truth behind his birth. And I'm like, I really hope they don't say, like, Mystique is not his mother. I would be so pissed off if they say, like, oh, Raven isn't, Kurt's mother, like, his biological mother, even though we clearly have seen in comics of her giving birth to Kurt multiple times in comics. That would piss me. That's what I'm worried about. Though I am excited, I will say I am excited for this Uncanny Spider-Man comic of having Kurt being taking on the mantle of Spider-Man, or a version of Spider-Man. This is going to be main universe, by the way, and it's going to follow Kurt and as Spider-Man. So I can't wait to see the Uncanny X-Man. The Amazing X-Men. Excuse me, or what is it? The Uncanny Spider-Man. Blech. So many adjectives with team names, it kind of jumbles in your head, doesn't it? So yeah, the Uncanny Spider-Man. That's what his book is going to be. Finally, as for others, we have 2 Spider-Man titles that we're gonna go through real quick. Those being the Spine-Tingling Spider-Man, which is going to be a new series by Saladin Ahmed that is going to be more horror-centric for Spider-Man, which I think is kind of cool. We don't get a lot of horror stuff for Spider-Man, but it seems like every time they do horror with Spider-Man, it really seems to work. So that's going to be cool. And we also have the return of Superior Spider-Man with Dan Slott on, coming back to the character he made of making Ox Spider-Man. And we also have Mark Bagley doing interior art. Mark Bagley, yay! Dan Slott, look, Slott is a decent writer, and Superior Spider-Man was probably one of the most interesting things that had happened to Spider-Man in a long ass time. I personally I like Superior Spider-Man. Personally, though, I like the 12-issue series that Christos Gage had done with Octavius in the Peter Parker clone body in the West Coast, where he fights Terrax, and it's really fucking cool. But yeah, I liked that version a bit more. And I really did... there were some things in Superior Spider-Man that made me go, did everyone just have to be dumbed down to believe that that's not Peter Parker anymore? Sorry about that. But yeah. So, there are some things I like about Dan Slott's Superior Spider-Man, but there are other things where I'm just like... Everyone just had to be stupider to accept that this wasn't Peter. I mean, they think that this was Peter the whole time, when clearly they've been around Spider-Man long enough to know how he acts. It makes no fucking sense to me. But anyway. And also, my take on Dan Slott as a writer after seeing that documentary on Disney Plus and focusing on that, what was it, Marvel 108 or whatever the fuck it was called, and it was that episode where it talked about how he wrote or didn't write, and how the editorial had to cater to his fat ass, as he delayed everything and inevitably made Iron Man 2020 even more like he just used the pandemic as an excuse not to write Iron Man 2020 and made it just a fad as it was. Whatever. I'm not but yeah. So there you go, guys. That's just a big comic dump I just wanted to throw out there. Just wanted to loosen my belt and take a big old comic news dump for all of you. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of all this? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.